is your favorite agent, Kanya, the property guy. Welcome to another fantastic YouTube episode. Yes, fantastic because I'm in the YouTube episode. Now, I want to speak about renting versus buying. I've been dealing with that topic the whole week last week on TikTok, renting versus buying. Now, there are a lot of people that are on social media that are saying renting is better than buying because you don't have the responsibility. You have the freedom, you have the benefit of living in a property without the responsibility. So that's what they're running away from. And then they'll make an example. They say, look, the certain area that I'm renting from right now, I'm paying 10,000 rand per month. But if I were to buy this house, I'd be paying around 13,000, 14,000 because you that's the bond repayment. You add insurance, you add certain payments as all of that. And now this conversation, I just want to fix something there. They always add levies. Levies is not a guaranteed part of property ownership. You can buy a property and not pay levies. You only pay levies in sectional titles. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about like in area where you see a block of flats, there's a sectional title, or an estate or a complex. That's where you pay levies. You don't pay levies everywhere. Not everybody that owns a property is paying levies because whenever we engage in the topic about renting versus buying, people will always bring up levies. So they'll say, "I'm paying." Then you're gonna pay 4,000 rand levies. You also do get levies that are much cheaper. Just last week on TikTok, someone was telling me they're paying 165 levies and they were paying 150 rand levies. And I said to them, hey, I hope you're not complaining because that's the cheapest levies I've ever heard of. 165, sign me up. I'll also pay those levies. So there's another place here in Kuils River that's called Stellendale. Now, Stellendale levies were also cheap. I don't know if it's still the case right now, but like I remember, I think 2 years or 3 years ago, they were around 700 rand. Yeah, 700 rand. And 700 rand for levies is not bad. You should see what people are paying out there. And Stellendale is by far one of my favorite complexes in Kuils River. Yeah. But so I just want to get that out of the way. Levies is not a guaranteed part of home ownership. You can own a property and not pay levies. So I explained the areas where you pay levies, right? Okay, now let's move on to our topic, renting versus buying. Now you need to understand whatever works for you according to home ownership, you must do what's best for you. But I am here to just give you the best information so that you make a decision informed, so that you make a decision not from ignorance, but from a place of power, because knowledge is power, right? Now, when you buy a property via the bank, now that's another thing that I think I should just bypass because some people are saying it's better to buy a property cash or is it better to buy a home loan? It's better to buy a property the way you are able to buy a property. If you have cash, then you can buy the property cash. If you're buying via a home loan, if you don't have the cash, you can buy home loan. Whatever works for you, do what's best for you, right? And I'm gonna have an accountant on my YouTube, which is gonna explain the benefits of buying a property via a home loan rather than buying cash, especially if you want to do investment property. You want the property you want the properties to bring in income for you. So he's gonna break that down for us. He's an accountant. He'll know the tax and all those things. But here I have only 2 points. Why am I holding four? I say I only have 2 points to add to this. Why it's better to buy a property via a home loan than renting, or why it's just better to buy a property, whether it's cash or home loan, than renting. When you rent, yes, you enjoy 100% of the benefits. You don't have the responsibility. That is very true. But now let's say you have a family now. You are renting a property, and I've seen this happen so many times. The father is renting a family, and a lot of times the father was the breadwinner. The father is renting the property, the family is living here. The father passes away. The family must be chucked out of the house. The children must learn now a new way of life because the father was renting a property for 10 years. Children grew up in this area. They adopted, the way that people think in this area, the way of life and all these things. Now the father passed away. The property didn't belong to them. They were renting. Now the children are, they must move either to another area, a smaller place, all these things. So that my first reason why I advocate for you buying a property via a home loan, cash, whatever, is that you are putting your family in a stable, secure environment. Because when you buy a property via a home loan, you are able to take out a life cover or insurance. Should you pass away, that life cover or insurance can pay out that property so that your family is not out in the street. Isn't that the biggest benefit, especially if your family? If you have a family and you're advocating for renting rather than home ownership, I don't understand you. Because whatever happens to you, you must be able to make sure that your family is still in a stable situation. Whatever yes, they are dealing with having lost they are dealing with having lost you, they are grieving and all those things, but you know that they don't have to worry about being chucked out of the property, right? Now that's the first one. The second one, now this applies to people whether you have a family or you don't have a family. This is equity. When you have a bond, you are paying a monthly installment, a home loan. If you're paying for like 3 years or 4 years, you build what is called equity. So now you have money that you would not otherwise have, where you can go to the bank and say, listen, I bought this property for 1 million. I've been paying for 4 years, right? This property has grown according to this valuation. It has grown to like 1.3, let's say. I want to get that equity, that 300,000 from you. And the bank can give you that money. 300,000 you can get, and then they'll refinance that, and you can use that for whatever you want. Now, when you're renting, do you think you'll have 300,000 when you're renting? Be honest with me. You will not. Even if you rent, let's say 5 years, because some people are saying, no, you're going to rent and then you're going to save money, you're going to put money aside. That's not true. That's not how life works. Let's just deal with reality right now. You know people that have been renting for like 6 years, 8 years, but every time they pay their rent, they do their bills, and they're left with no money. My biggest thing with renting is that you are taking money and you're putting it in the bin, especially if you can buy a property. I have no problem with renting. I look after rentals. I do all those things. I'm fine. But like my thing is, if you are able to buy a property, then buy a property rather than renting. So I've just mentioned to you two things. One is security and stability for your family. Number two is that you can get equity. Now this applies to people either you have a family, you don't have a family, you are single, but like you know that when you are paying a bond, you are not throwing money away. Let me make another example for you. You are renting. Someone is renting 4 years, and another person is paying a bond for 4 years. This person after 4 years, let's say they don't want they don't want to like refinance. They want to sell the property, right? When they sell the property, they still walk away with some money, especially if they bought a property in a good area. They made a good deal where they didn't buy a property that was overcapitalized, right? That's another explanation for another day, overcapitalization. But if you bought a property in a good area where it shows some growth in your property, because there are some bad property investments. Not all property investments is good, yeah. But let's say you bought in an area, the property appreciates in value, you sell it after 4 years, you get some money in your pocket. This one after 4 years has nothing to show for that. They are still renting. That's my two biggest arguments. Fight me on those arguments. Your family and your equity that you build when you are in home ownership. And I'm advocating for a bond, or I'm speaking about a home loan, because that's 90% of the population. 90% of the people in the world, they buy properties via a home loan. I can count the people who bought a property cash from me on one hand, and two fingers will be the one same person that has bought property cash from me. So a lot of people, 90% of the people, they buy a property via a bond. That's just a way of life. That's where we find ourselves. That's our reality. We need to accept it. But now with this reality, you need to be able to make the best decisions that you are able to, with the information, with the hand that you are dealt with. So it is your favorite agent, Kanya, the property guy. I hope I have influenced you to say, stop renting now. Make your way to home ownership. Kanya, their favorite real estate agent.